Did you know that from the 1950s to the 1970s, colonial governments all across the British Empire destroyed thousands, possibly millions of records relating to war crimes, torture, and racial discrimination? This isn't a conspiracy theory, it's now known as Operation Legacy, it's a matter of public record, and the wildest thing is that it worked. By the 1950s, it was clear that the British Empire was winding up. India gains its independence in 1947, and in the run-up to that day, so many British officials were burning documents that there was a pall of smoke over Delhi. Extremely obvious and extremely embarrassing. As the 1950s goes on, more countries around the world start to gain ground in their fights for independence, and the British government does not want a repeat of what happened in India. So, for example, just before Malaya became independent in 1957, whole trucks full of documents were loaded up and driven to an incinerator in Singapore. The colonial governor of Trinidad and Tobago was advised to drop crates of documents into the sea. During the Suez Crisis, one reporter said that the lawn in front of the British embassy in Egypt was ankle deep in ash from burned documents. Files were destroyed or hidden from Sri Lanka, Ghana, Uganda, Tanzania, Malta, Brunei, Ireland. And the only reason we know about this is because not everything got burned, some documents got hidden instead. For example, before Kenya gained its independence, 307 crates of papers were flown out of the country to a secret facility in Buckinghamshire, where they were kept out of the classification system, unable to be accessed by freedom of information requests. This was illegal even by the British government's own laws, and they were not made public until 2011. These days they're at the National Archives in Kew, and you can go and read them for yourself. The documents showed that the colonial government had used torture during a rebellion called the Mau Mau Uprising in Kenya, and that Britain had ordered it to destroy anything that might embarrass the country. Who knows what was in the stuff that got burned? British people really don't know very much about what the Empire was up to. I only learned about massive things like the Bengal famine and the Amritsar massacre relatively recently, and I bet there's loads of stuff I still don't know. In 2020, a YouGov poll found that a third of all Britons thought that the Empire was something to be proud of, and that countries in the Empire had been left better off. 27% said they wished Britain still had an empire. Although I should note this number has been coming down very steeply. In 2014, the same question was asked, and they found that a whopping 59% of people thought the empire was something to be proud of. We tend to think that because these things happened outside Britain, that they're not part of British history, they're not part of our story. But there is no such thing as their history and our history. All history belongs to all of us. So I've put links to a couple of sources on this in the description of the YouTube version of this video. I would advise you not to get your information on this from TikTok or Instagram. Go and have a look and give one or two of those articles a read.